Physiological effects of age on exercise. There are many stereotypes when it comes to age and physical activity. For example, elderly people are said to only be able to play low intensity and low impact sports such as bowls. This is not always the case. These stereotypes tend to come from the fact that elderly people tend to be quite frail and fragile, but this isn't the case for all elderly people. People also build up an idea of the perfect physique from looking at social media pages and other forms of media, where they see young, physically fit and active people. Once people have got past a certain age, they build an image of themselves and compare it to these young influencers. This can lower motivation, and it also makes people less confident to take part in sporting activities. Aging. Chronological aging is the factual amount of years you have been alive for, whereas biological aging is what the person's physical aspects equal to. For example, to find out someone's biological age, you must take their lifestyle into consideration, such as dietary habits, exercise quantity, stress levels, alcohol consumption, hereditary conditions, and even the location in which they live in. There are other factors, such as the condition of your internal organs, that play a massive part in your biological age. The endocrine system. Hormones decrease with age, or to be more specific, there's a decline in estrogen and also testosterone. The decline in estrogen causes menopause in females. The decline in testosterone for men can mean slower muscle building and repair. There is also reducing growth hormones, which means decreased muscle mass and strength. You'll also experience decreased melatonin levels, which mean that sleeping cycles may change, which can potentially lead to insomnia. Hormone receptors will also become less receptive, and finally there will be a decrease in reproductive hormones. An example supporting this should be in bodybuilding. When you talk about all the different hormones that affect muscle building, muscle repairs, and muscle mass decreasing, this may explain why it's so rare to see what would be classed as an elderly bodybuilder. Of course there are some, but the majority of bodybuilders, whether they are male or female, tend to range between the ages of 18 and 40. Skeletal. After you reach the age of 30, bones start to become fragile, meaning they will break easily. The first few years after menopause, females experience rapid bone loss known as osteopenia. This is a form of bone weakening, but this is not as severe as osteoporosis. It will lead to skeletal degeneration, forcing the spine to bend. Osteoporosis is a severe loss of bone density. Bone mass decreases because the activity levels of the osteoblasts start to decline. These are the cells that build bone. The cells that break down bone are called osteoclasts. When you are younger, your bones will repair a lot quicker than they do when you are older. This is partly down to the activity levels of the osteoblasts. Muscular system. Muscle mass and flexibility will decrease with age. This process is known as atrophy. Muscle fibers will also shrink. Lipofuscin, which is an age-related pigment, and fat will build up in the muscle tissues. Muscle tissues then may be replaced by tough fibrous tissue. This means muscles become less able to contract due to the fibers stiffening. This means contracting takes a lot more energy and effort. This is due to the normal aging process, but also through changes in the muscle's tissue. Exercising may slow down the process of your muscles becoming smaller and weaker, but will not stop it permanently, and won't stop your muscles from becoming stiff and rigid. Increased levels of fatigue with a decrease in fatigue tolerance will also occur. This can also cause muscle size to decrease, which is caused by many other aspects such as muscle fibers decreasing, muscle tissues being replaced, and changes in the nervous system such as decrease in impulse speed. To help improve this, you can perform low intensity strengthening exercises. Cardiovascular. As you get older, your heart rate decreases. Usually this is more severe in sedentary people and people suffering from cardiovascular diseases, along with your stroke volume, leading to a decrease in the cardiac output. The muscles in the left ventricle thicken with age, which means there's less space for the blood, causing a decrease in blood volume. The heart also fills and empties a lot slower than it would when you were younger, which creates less blood going through circulation. All of these changes means the heart needs to work harder to maintain the body's oxygen levels. Blood pressure also tends to increase due to the cholesterol accumulating on the walls of the arteries, causing less space in the arteries for the blood to pass through. Also, due to arterial sclerosis, which is a disease where plaque builds up in the arteries, this means it takes longer for your heart rate and blood pressure to return to resting, making your aerobic capacity much lower. An example to support this would be looking at successful elite long-distance cyclists. As a younger person tends to have a greater VO2 max, this is also because their hearts are more efficient and they are able to get more oxygen around the body at speed, whereas for an older person, their blood circulation isn't as good, which means that they can get less oxygen around their body until they're working muscles, which will impact them in sports such as cycling. So this helps to show us why elite cyclists tend to be younger. Respiratory. The chest wall and thoracic spine become deformed. The rib cage starts to become distorted. The diaphragm muscles become weaker, making breathing much harder. And also less carbon dioxide is removed from the body, which means less waste removal. Muscles and tissues surrounding the airways may not be as efficient at keeping the airways clear. Collagen fibers in the lungs will also decrease in elasticity, meaning the lungs can't take in as much oxygen in one go. An example of this would be Mo Farah's performance decreasing, causing him to become slower as he gets older, due to the fact that he is unable to get as much oxygen into the body and push it around to the working muscles to provide energy, but also is unable to remove as much carbon dioxide from the body as a waste product.